In previous exercise, we used two variable input types, horizontal and vertical, to create one data table, so one output type, the total traveled distance. What we are going to do now is create a hypertable. It's down here. And we are going to use, again, two variable input types, but we are going to use create multiple outputs. So let's first just create the basic input we need for the system, and then I'll show you how to enable a macro that can actually do the job. So first of all, over there a little bit higher, horizontal, up, then vertical, then the total. How do you calculate the percent of A? Well, you take the distance of A, the travel distance, and you divide it by the total distance. That's A. So now B, that's B, divide by the total. Now C, C, and divide by total. Last. So you could have done it with less input types. I mean, just the point is just to show you that you can do it with multiple, but why not do it with all, right? Okay, that's what we start with, right? I'm gonna update the output better later on when we've got everything. Let us first now look at the macro. You see over here that's not percent sign, so we're gonna change that. But first the macro. So it's almost the same in the Windows version, but if you don't find it, have a look at the course notes where it's explained. For a Mac version, you go to Preferences. In Preferences, you have ribbons, and in ribbons you have down there the Developer tab. So it wasn't enabled yet, so if you enable it, now we have a Developer tab that's going to be useful to work with macros. The first thing we have over here is the editor. If I open the editor, you see exercise 3 and 4 that are two different tabs. What we're going need to do is add a file. That's our Visual Basic program that you need to download. From Prankar, it's called Hyper Tab Pass. Make sure you click on the save. Don't click on the tab itself because it can contain, well, you need to save it, right? Okay, so I already downloaded. So what I now need to do is left click on this, import a file. It's in my exercises on software development. There it is, HyperTab. And I'm adding it. So now I've added it. I can actually start using it. So how do I use it? I just click over here on macro, and there's HyperTab. So I just need to run it, run. And the first thing it asks me is the input file, so the input cell. So it starts over here. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to create input types. And never mind. I forgot to create input types. So which is an interesting area to watch? You see over here between 60 and 80, and between, so that's horizontal, and vertical between 30 and 40. That seems to be an interesting area. So I'm gonna iterate here a little bit. So let's see, from 80 to 75 to 60 to 60 important. Sorry, 70, and then 65. That's the last one. And I'm gonna just watch 30 and 35s because I think it's gonna be interesting over here, the best place. So I'll make 35, 30, 35. You could just give other input files to see what happens. That's the ones I'm gonna work with. Click on macro, run the macro, select all the input files from here to here, click OK, and then select the output range. It starts here and it will end over there. Okay, it's gonna take a while because I took multiple. Okay, so this is what you get as output. First thing we want to change is, of course, that these cells are not persons. So let's go to form cells and say that those are person signs, and we want two decimal numbers. Actually, we want that for everything, so I'm going to go select everything again, and I'm going to say format input cells. Now, of course, I can't change anything. Oh, wait, forgot. Can only do that inside the percent sign. Again, format cells, percent sign 2, okay. And then over here, this is just a number. Hop, format cells, also 2. There you go. So, okay, that looks better. So that's the example of the macro. The last example for this workshop is creating a scenario. What will a scenario do for you? A scenario allows you to change variables and create a report without actually changing it all the time. Because if I change something over here, of course you lose the other input. So how do you make sure that you can have this change next to each other? That's why we go to Tools, Scenario, and a new toolbox pop-up. So let's add some scenario, which is a first scenario we could create. Let's see. You see that B is the bigger supplier. Let's say that our distribution would be in B. So we need to change cell those two, right? Okay, those two. Click OK. And to what do we change it? Well, B is at 150. Okay, that's our distribution. Add another one. What can we do more? Yeah, you see that C and D is very small. They don't deliver so much. So let's assume that they grow. So, or double CD. Oops. Which values do we need? We need this value, oh, sorry, this value and this value. Okay, how will it change? This is going to be 2, this is going to be 4. Okay. A third scenario, of course. What's a third scenario? Let's see a very bad case. Let's assume you lose, so we call it lose B. You don't want to lose B, it's your biggest supplier. So B. Okay, so losing means it's going to be 0. Okay, so now we've got 3 of those elements. If you click one of them, let's see, what happens if you lose B? All of this will change, right? Show. Doesn't do so much. That's changed something. That's changed something. Didn't do so much, but okay, let's create a summary. Now in the summary, you see now it tries to do all the cells. If I'm gonna try it, it's gonna say that I can't take more than 32 cells. Okay, this is just an example. So let's say we just want to know the total travel. There you go. And a new tab will show up with the scenario. Here it is. And that's it.